So guys, welcome back to another vlog. This morning I've been reading in Hebrews. I've really been trying to focus on building myself, but removing distractions. I feel like sometimes we don't acknowledge distractions, so we don't really make the progress that we should with the same time that we would. You know what I'm saying? So if you go to Hebrews 12, chapter 1, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And let us run with the perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, pioneer and perfecter of faith. I haven't really read a lot in Hebrews. I've been reading a lot in Romans, kind of the last days. I've been in Romans 11 and 12 a little more recently, but I really have been trying to figure out what God is asking of us when we spend time with ourselves. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times we feel like we're not closer to God, but we're too easily engulfed in everything else around us. So you're gonna have a hard time kind of being close to God when you keep giving the same time with God to everybody else, if that makes sense. So it would be like if you're supposed to hang out with your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, you keep hanging out with all your friends or you keep hanging out with all your people, but if you keep hanging out with everybody except them, you know what I'm saying, your relationship is never going to grow. You may not ever hear from them, you know what I'm saying, because you keep spending time elsewhere. Recently in my walk with Christ, I've really been trying to spend time with God and understand what that means for me. You know what I'm saying? Your time might be going for a walk. My time might be waking up early. So it looks different for everybody, but really the whole idea that I've been trying to get at is what can I do to put myself in the presence of God more often? Because once you're in His presence, you start to act and move more like Jesus did, and you stop acting in your flesh so often, then we start to see what God really has for us. So Hebrews 11, prior to 12, it highlighted a lot of faith. You know what I'm saying? It highlighted faith in action. So Abel gave a better offering than his brother Cain. Noah built the ark because he trusted God's warning of the flood coming, and then Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt by following God. So these are just three examples, and chapter 11 basically goes all into it, but these are just some examples of how God was moving in their life based on their faith. I feel like sometimes we kind of overlook that because it's like, if we're not talking to people around us on a weekly basis or really often, what other examples are we seeing if we're not really talking to people? You know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't know what I'm dealing with if I never told you. You wouldn't know what your friend's dealing with if they never told you. So these are just some examples, giving you context, like God has came through for people who have trusted Him. You know what I'm saying? So just a couple notes, as we break down Hebrews 12 chapter 1. Let us throw off everything that hinders. I put that in quotes. What is pulling you away from God? And even who is pulling you away from God? And I feel like sometimes we fail to acknowledge this, and myself included. For so long, bro, I wanted to make these videos, I wanted to make vlogs, and I wanted to post all the time. That was great, but I was only getting God for about this much time. So sometimes when I would have an instance in real life or an opportunity to be more like Jesus, I would fail because I would only give God my time a day in this much time. You know what I'm saying? That was kind of my hindrance. In my head, I was like, I'm just gonna read some, I'll share it, and then I'll be more like Jesus when I get the opportunity to. But what happens when you forget? You know what I'm saying? Because you're not rooted, or you didn't read long enough, or you didn't really pray or meditate on it. It just brushes right over your head. So that was kind of my hindrance because I was so focused on creating videos, you know what I'm saying? And it's something your heart desires. So I enjoyed it, which was great, but I wasn't really using it to the best of my ability. I wasn't really using this word every time I got an opportunity to. So that's kind of my thing when it comes to pulling you away from God. I'm not going to say it pulled me away, but it distracted me because I was so consumed in making a video rather than really doing the right thing when we had the opportunity to. Next thing I wrote was, what sin are you falling into that hinders your relationship with God? So whether that's lust, whether that's temptation, whether that's the people around you, whether that's cussing, whether that's stealing, what is pulling you away from God? Nobody really wants to admit to it, but that's the only way we're going to get better. The only way you get better at something is if you admit that you're not good at it. It's kind of like baseball or sports or basketball or whatever. If you know that you can't go left, or you know that you can't hit an outside pitch, the only way you're going to get better at it is to tell yourself, I'm really not that good at this. So what sin are you falling into that is hindering your relationship? Spent the last couple months or weeks, a little confused, what should I do? Kind of the plan He has for me. The only way I'm going to know is if I really get in this thing, man, if I really spend time with Jesus. But if I keep running, running freely, on my own, I'm never really going to see what God wants me to do. You know what I'm saying? If I had any advice for you, man, put your nose down, get to work, but also remove any distraction that's hindering you from your walk with Christ. See you guys.